Okay, this is from that worksheet I handed out in class. Looks like this. It goes with lesson 5, and I'm just going to do a few problems from this. So the first one I selected was number 4. Remember, if you're going to solve this equation, and notice it's squared right here, so this is called a quadratic equation, it has to equal 0. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this 5 to the other side. I'm going to have to do that by subtracting 5 from both sides. So let's see here, I'm going to get t squared plus 2t. Negative 19 minus 5 is a negative 24, and that gives you 0. And then I'm going to factor. Notice there's nothing in common. This is a 1, so this should be a pretty easy one to factor. T times t gives me the t squared. Can you think of factors of negative 24 that add up to 2? So you're just going to have to play the game, think of all the different factors until you find the ones that work. And it should be a positive 6 and a negative 4. Notice those multiply together to give you negative 24. And if you add them, you get a positive 2. So I know that's right. Now if you were factoring, you would just be done. But we're doing more than that. We're solving. We're wanting to know, what does this value have to be right in here in order to get 0? So take this factor right there, t plus 6, and I don't care if you do this mentally or you show it, but I want you to think, what does t have to be so you get 0? Well, solve for t. You move your 6 to the other side, so if it's a positive 6 on this side, you're going to get a negative 6. Same thing here. Set this one equal to 0. So you can see if you move the 4 to the other side, you're going to get t equals a positive 4. So you've got two answers here. Either t is going to be negative 6 or it's going to be a positive 4. So what that's telling you is if you took this negative 6 and you plugged it back in here to the original equation, it would work. And think about it. Negative 6 squared is 36. If you plug a negative 6 in here, that gives me, what, negative 12. So I'm going to get 36 minus 12, which is 24. 24 minus 19 is indeed 5, and it works. Same thing's going to be with 4. If you plug a 4 in right here, you're going to see that it does indeed work. Okay, so that's number 4. How about number 10? Now, there's nothing in common. I mean, it's already said equal to 0. This one's a little harder to factor, so what you're going to have to do is the AC method. So remember, you're going to take the first times the last, which is 40. You're going to have to find factors of 40 that add up to negative 14. Okay, well, the first thing I think about is 10 times 4 is 40. If I add them, I get 14, but I need it to be a negative 14. So I'm going to make them both negative. Again, that works, because if you multiply them together, you get a positive 40. If you add them, you get a negative 14. So this is the AC method. Instead of this middle term, I'm going to substitute these. You can put them in any order you want. It doesn't matter. You will get the right answer. So notice, I wrote this just like I see it, but instead of a negative 14x, I use these two terms, negative 10x minus 4x. Okay, then you cut it in half. And what do these two have in common? It looks like I can have a 5 and an x in common, so I'm left with x minus 2. Just use the distribution property, make sure you get what you started with. Bring whatever sign that is, bring it straight down. These two have a 4 in common. I'm just going to copy over exactly what I see there in my first set of parentheses. And notice it should work. Negative 4x if you distribute, and a negative 4 and a negative 2 is a positive 8, so it does work. So I'm almost done factoring. You need to put what's common in one parenthesis. It doesn't matter which one you put it, but both sides have an x minus 2. And then in the other parenthesis right here, you're going to put what's left, which is a 5x minus 4. And so there you go. Now, you're going to solve this just like you did. Either this one has to equal 0, which move your 2 to the other side. You can see that has to be 2, so that one's not so bad. Or take this factor and set it equal to 0. This one's maybe a little harder to do mentally, but that's a negative 4. So if you throw him over there, he's going to become a positive 4. Divide both sides by whatever's in front of your variable. So you should get x is 4/5. Nothing wrong with that. So again, notice it's x squared, so you're going to get two answers. Okay?